Today is Tuesday, November 29th, approximately 4:05 in the afternoon. This is a special board meeting for Bay County Commissioners. I'd like to call it to order, and if you would take roll, please.
Commissioner Durancheck.
Here.
Figic.
Here.
Boonin.
Here.
Garrett.
Here.
Tilly.
Here.
Lutz.
Here.
Krieger.
Yes,
All members present.
thank you. We'll stand for the invocation and then the pledge.
Almighty and eternal God, governor of all things in heaven and on earth, we ask that you will bless this county commission this day. We ask that you lead and direct this board to work for this county, and that you grant them the knowledge and understanding of the needs for this community. In your holy name we ask this. Amen. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next on the agenda would be citizens' input. If anybody from the audience would like to address the board, now's the time. That being said, we'll move into items for consideration. Commissioner Tillett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have resolution 2016-292, which is addresses the monitored DDA issue and gives you the authority to sign any documents to execute such plan. I so move this resolution.
Support. Discussion. Kevin? Do you have anyone that has any questions that they're not sure of dealing with everything that's transpired between the DDA, Monitor Township, and Bay County? I think Commissioner Coonan.
Well, if we could get I haven't seen it on paper, so I hate to do something I haven't seen, so maybe Kevin, you could give us a breakdown of that particular agreement.
Are they in their packets, just to clarify the two documents? Emailed, okay.
Yep.
So via email, you should have received two separate documents. I'll go over each document separate, just so we can keep everything clear. Now, the chain of events that's happened, I'll kind of work that in as we go. And so after the closed session the other day, I met with representatives of the county, representatives of the township, and representatives of the DDA. Yep.
That's what he's referring to right now.
Yeah. And so from this joint meeting, it was concluded that we all pretty much had the same goals, and I had some tweaking to the agreements that I preferred to do. And so I went back and I did the tweaking. I separated one agreement into two separate agreements, and then that's the two separate agreements you have before you. From there, we went back and forth on language and that kind of stuff. And so the first agreement that came out of this, let's do the restatement of the Monitor Township Downtown Development Authority Development Agreement 2016. And so what this document does is we had the original agreement, and then I believe there's three separate addendums after that to that agreement. This one agreement will replace all four of those documents. So this is now the controlling document. You can basically get rid of the rest of them. You have to retain them, but for knowledge's sake, just pretend they don't exist. And so this has a lot of the same information in it that the original agreement had in it, and I'll draw your attention to page 2 of 5, item G. And again, we all agreed it was a good idea that the DDA stay around. However, if it was going to stay around, then the removal of the property from the district after the 10 years, this term for the next TIF is 10 years. After the term of 10 years, and the property would come out, or at least the parties would get together and renegotiate, kind of like what we did this time. And so that's the basic of this one is this remove that, and then if you go to items 12, 13, 14, the DDA, the one thing I didn't want to happen is what happened this time. You get down to a month before the agreement, their TIF expires, and all of a sudden everybody's scrambling. Everybody's having special board meetings. So we wrote in this agreement as the new TIFs for 10 years, in 2025, the parties are going to get together and meet and discuss this. A year in advance, give us plenty of time. The board at that time may say we want to continue, we don't want to continue, whatever be the case, but it's not going to be a last minute 30-day we have to get this done. Scenario, the goal is somebody puts this on a tickler file, and 9 years from now, everybody gets together, and we can look at this in advance. The next item is the TIF plans. This agreement actually expires once they either terminate their TIF and their DDA and all the rest of the documents associated with that. Otherwise, this reinstatement will stay in place until that time. And then finally, they're not allowed to issue any debt, the DDA, unless it's approved by the county. And keep in mind, your TIF revenue would be used to repay the debt or a portion thereof. And therefore, that was crucial to protect your interests kind of as a secondary method. You know, we understand the second document's a revenue sharing agreement. We're going to get to that in a minute. But this one really prevents them, if they want to go out and issue debt, guaranteeing it, and then come to you after the fact. They really can't do that. They need to come to you first and get permission to issue the debt, which will mean then that the revenue sharing agreement would kick in, well, would also be invoked. So we'll talk about that one next. Any questions on the first one? Okay, the parties to the first one are, of course, Fabiano Brothers, the township, the DDA, and the county itself. And on that one, we did have one minor change. I believe this is the one. Was this the one with the name? Yeah. So there's a new supervisor. The original draft had I had the wrong supervisor's name. I had the former supervisor. So when the DDA approved it, I believe they approved it with the former supervisor. I then reprinted off that signature page for the township's meeting. So when the township approved it, it had the right signature. And that was the only change on that document from the time it was submitted to the time it got to this board. Okay. So if we want to then go to the revenue sharing agreement, which is the second document. And this is really the meat and potatoes of what the county cares about here. You know, the Monitor Township DDA continues to exist, will continue to exist in the future. However, what comes down to is the capture amount from the county. And that's really what we care about. Right now they capture roughly $400,000 a year. Under the revenue sharing agreement, that money passed back through to the county every single year. Unless there's a project that everybody feels is mutually beneficial. By everybody, I mean the township, the county, and the DDA. Once all three parties agree on that, so let's say $8.5 million, somebody wants to put up a warehouse. We know it's $8.5 million, they need a bond for $8.5 million. They'll come to the county and say, is this a project you're interested in participating in? And here's the benefits to the county. You know, after a few years, all that money gets passed back through, or whatever be the case. So the county then hypothetically says, yes, we agree to that. The question is to what level then? Right now they're reverting $400,000 back. Maybe the bond payment's $100,000. And keep in mind they're going to capture from the township also, so they might need, let's say, $80,000 a year from the county. And if the county is in agreement with that, you execute another document, and it has to be in writing. Execute a document that says now we'll take the $320, you can retain the $80 until the bonds are paid off, and then revert that $80 back to us after the bonds are paid off, and then we're back to $400 again. Now that works very nicely because keep in mind your tax base then goes up because of this $8.5 million development. So which will generate more money to you. So that's the kind of the benefit of helping and participating in those type of projects, is when they're doing the pass-through back to you, once that goes back up and the property goes, either gets uncapped or goes up in value, that money is all captured under TIF, which is again is passed through back to the county. Now in this document, I did have a typo on page 1 of 6, and it's in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 whereas, first full sentence, second line, June 13th, it says 2016. The correction is written in there 06. That was just a misprint on the date. And so with the new technology that's out there, when somebody comes in and pays their tax bill, that money is immediately then, at the end of the day, transmitted. Your TIF revenue is immediately transmitted into the county, as opposed to waiting for a week or 2 weeks or a month or whatever be the case. That is now instantaneous due to wire transfers and BSNA software, which is really nice, meaning you get your money right away. Now, keep in mind, at the end of the tax season, you have people who don't pay their taxes. And so the county buys those taxes, I believe, still, and then reimburses the municipalities for the outstandings. And so then after that, you have usually takes about 30 days to settle the books. And so in here, for anybody that has not paid their taxes, which are subject to TIF, after the books are reconciled with the county level, then their final TIF payment's due to you. And that allows them to get the money and make the money change, go back and forth. So that's kind of how that works. Any questions on that? Yes.
So the money doesn't come in one lump sum then?
No.
It could be coming throughout, whenever people pay the taxes then?
Correct. The money comes in, it's on a rotating basis. And so every day when somebody pays their tax bill, assuming that their property is located within the development district, that money will immediately, by the end of that business day, get transmitted to the county, that portion. Yeah. Is that currently how it works on your end? Yeah, okay, great. The last thing I could spend some time talking about, because I received at least one question, was and that goes back to the actual restatement, is there was a question on the $80,000 retainage by the DDA. As you know, part of the requirements of that is that they put on the 2 mil levy, so they have some funds to operate with. The 2 mil levy goes on the November tax bill, which is now it's too late to get it. The L4029 forms have already been submitted for this November. They cannot get that on the November tax bill this year, which means that that 2 mil levy will not go on the tax bill until November 2016, which means they probably won't see any money from the 2 mil levy, or excuse me, 2017. They won't receive any revenue from the 2 mils until roughly January 2018. And that is the reason they need that $80,000 to carry through. And the revenue sharing agreement is only with the county at this point in time. I cannot speak for Metro, nor can I speak for Delta College. But right now, my job is to pass through the $400,000 back to the county. That's what these documents do. I believe Richard's here, so if people have questions on Metro or Delta, I'm sure he can answer those, but I cannot. Yes, sir.
So the 400,000 is the county's money, and
Yes.
then there's additional dollars there that will, the DDA will either give back or not give back to them. How's that work?
So the DDA collects the money
Right.
through they receive the money through the TIF. And then, so let's say their operating budget's $500,000 a year. Of that, 400,000 is county, let's say 70,000.
Well, I know how that goes.
Yeah,
We're
okay.
gonna get ours, but
Yep.
are the other people gonna get theirs, being that they're not part of this agreement? You know,
Cannot
Delta
answer that.
College, we've got a number of other,
I'll have Richard answer that, because these documents don't address that.
Name's William Darby.
Sorry.
No, we're treating all taxing jurisdictions the same, with the 100% captured by the county, and will be 100% captured by every other taxing jurisdictions. It's either by statute or by case law, one of the two. You can't pick and choose who you want to take your money from, so it's a non-issue from our standpoint. The reason we're doing it with the county is because, quite frankly, you've got the biggest tax burden. And if we do a project, if we could pick and choose, the last one I would leave off would be the county. I mean, I'd want the county in there because you've got X number of mills. Township's got $1.25 million or $1.5 million or something like that. Maybe all the others add up to what, 4 or 5 mills? I don't know. But I mean, between the DDA and the other taxing jurisdictions without the county, we couldn't do a project much bigger than building a gas station, maybe. So it doesn't make any sense to try to go around to get them to sign on. Delta always basically says to us, go ahead, do whatever you gotta do it. Bay Metro, I don't even know if they you know, we're capturing their millage, maybe so, but, I mean, it's not that much from that standpoint from there, so. But we're treating everybody the same, we have to.
And that's by statute?
It's either statute or case law, I forget now which one it is. I think it's by statute, I think it says you treat all, taxing municipalities pro rata.
Anyone else?
I may just give my apologies to Mr. Darby for the wrong name.
He's used to it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Anything else? Kevin, thank you for your help.
No problem, Commissioner.
Is we done with it?
Yep.
Just to amend, before we vote on this, we want to approve and authorize your signature on any pertaining documents
Okay.
related to the DDA.
Okay. And,
So I make that amendment to my
and who seconded the
motion.
motion? Supported? Mike did. All right. No further discussion, all those, whoops, Mike?
I
Yes.
just have one comment that even though the meetings that we had out in Monitor Township are not in my district, that I enjoyed working with the DDA out there and the township officials. 1,400 jobs out there now, about a $40 million payroll, which is county-wide. So this is a big deal for Bay County. And thank you for everything that you're doing for passing some bucks back to us too. That's all I have.
Okay. And Commissioner Begic?
Yes, and the township board had been split pretty much on this issue before, now they've pretty much come together. There's always one or two naysayers, but they pretty much agreed on it.
Okay. Anyone else?
Roll call.
Please.
Roll call starts with Durancheck today, please.
Yes.
Begic,
Yes?
Coonan,
Yes.
Herrick,
Yes.
Tilly,
Yes.
Lutz,
Yes.
Krieger.
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you very much.
Resolution 2016-291, the Rohm phone system maintenance agreement from Buildings and Grounds. I so move this resolution.
Discussion? With none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That concludes business from the Board of Commissioners, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Tilly. We'll move into any unfinished business, any new business, any miscellaneous, any need for announcements? Ms. Amber, any need for a closed session?
No, there's not, Mr. Chair.
Motion to adjourn is always in order, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.